Hey, this is Pastor Jay Lee, and you're listening to the Daily Sabbath Podcast. Mark chapter 2, verses 9 through 11. Which is easier, to say to this paralyzed man, "Your sins are forgiven," or to say, "Get up, take your mat, and walk"? But I want you to know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins. So he said to the man, "I tell you, get up, take your mat, and go home." A paralyzed man was brought by his friends in the audacious hope that Jesus might be able to heal his paralysis. They went so far as to break through the roofing of the house Jesus was in to bypass the crowds and get their friend in front of Jesus. But surprisingly, upon seeing the faith of this man and his friends, Jesus proclaimed, "Your sins are forgiven." Now, this offended the teachers of the law, as they thought to themselves, "Who can forgive sins but God alone?" They weren't wrong. Jesus responded with this question: which is easier, to say to this paralyzed man, "Your sins are forgiven," or to say, "Get up, take your mat, and walk"? Now, on the surface, it's obvious that it's easier to say your sins are forgiven, because there would be no way of validating whether it was true or false. But to say, "Take up your mat and walk," was much harder because it could not be faked, and instantly everyone would know whether Jesus had power or not. But I think there is a subtle double meaning here, because the real truth, which no one in the room that night quite comprehended yet, was that being able to proclaim forgiveness of sins was in fact the hardest thing to do, virtually impossible. It was so hard that it would require God Himself to become flesh, be rejected by His own creation, and offer Himself as an atoning sacrifice on the cross. It was so hard that He would need to be raised from the dead. All but impossible, not just in the miracle of it, but in the impossibility of a God who would be so loving that He would humble Himself to such depths. Impossible. But the impossible became possible through the incarnation, death, and resurrection of Jesus. And so your reflection for today is this: Jesus has made the impossible possible. He is willing and able to forgive you if you will turn to Him. Have you received the healing gift of forgiveness yet? For more Daily Sabbath content, please be sure to follow us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And you can also follow us on our Instagram account, Daily Sabbath.